Welcome to another edition of Walton Entertainment. Today we'll have more news, information, and entertainment from your local hometown.
Hi there! Are you ready to read again? Today we're going to read Goldilocks and Just One Bear by Lee Hodgkinson. Let's read. Once upon a time, there was this bear. One minute he was strolling in the woods, all happy-go-lucky. The next minute, he didn't have a crumb of a clue where he was. He was one completely lost bear. The bear didn't much like this place. Too many bright lights and not enough twigs. Too much loud honking and beeping and not nearly enough owl hooting. The bear was also a teeny bit scared, and his furry legs were slightly wobbly. "Maybe the thing to do," said the bear, looking around, "is to pop into Snooty Towers and get away from this terrible racket." But the revolving door at Snooty Towers made the bear dizzy, and being dizzy with wobbly legs was a bad news. What the bear needed was a little rest. A little rest somewhere would definitely make things right. The bear peeked through a door and thought, how very pleasant it was up here. "Not nasty and noisy like down there," said the bear. "Just the place for a little rest." All that whooshy traveling was certainly a hungry business, so before his little rest, a little porridge seemed like a good idea. "This porridge is too soggy. This porridge is too crunchy. This porridge is a bit on the dry side, but it is better than nothing." Now the bear was ready for his little rest. "This chair is too ouchy. This chair is too noisy. This chair is just right. A little rest is nice," but what the bear needed to feel like himself again was a good old-fashioned nap in a comfy bed. "This bed is too frothy. This bed is too pink. This bed is just right." And soon he nodded off. The bear dreamed of crunching through leaves. The bear dreamed of puttering around in his slippers. The bear dreamed of a voice shouting very, very loudly. "Somebody has been eating from my fishbowl," said the daddy person. "Somebody has been eating my dear little pumpkin's kitty nibbles," said the mommy person. "And somebody has been eating my toast," said the little person, "and they've eaten it all up." Unfortunately, the bear was not dreaming at all. He was wide awake and back in real life again. "Somebody has squished my cactus," said the daddy person. "Somebody has upset my dear little pumpkin," said the mommy person. "And somebody has popped my beanbag chair," said the little person. "Somebody has been sleeping in my bath," said the daddy person. "Somebody has been sleeping in my bed," said the mommy person. "Shh," whispered the little person. "I think that somebody is sleeping in my bed right now." The bear peeked from under the covers to see a daddy person, a mommy person, and a little person standing right there. The bear thought that the mommy person looked ever so slightly familiar, and the mommy person thought that gobbling other people's breakfast, breaking other people's stuff, and snoozing in other people's beds seemed ever so slightly familiar too. And it was. "Baby bear?" said the mommy person. "Goldilocks?" said the bear. They hadn't seen each other in ages. "Porridge?" asked Goldilocks. The bear nodded. So Goldilocks cooked up a big bowl and plunked it in front of him. It was not too hot. It was not too cold. It was just right. It made the bear almost forget about that once upon a time when Goldilocks had behaved so badly. This little bear would never dream of doing anything like that. And although it had been good to see Goldilocks living so happily ever after with those charming people, the bear decided it was time to go back home to the woods. The end. Today, we're going to read The True Story of the Three Little Pigs by A. Wolfe, as told to John Siska, illustrated by Lane Smith. Let's read. Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house. So I called, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed. And I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? The whole damn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. Can I do this and edit it again?
Yeah.
Because I realized.
You want to start over?
Do you think I can redo just that page?
Yeah, probably.
Here, I'll go back to this page and see if we can do it that way.
Okay.
And I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seems like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, Wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old Granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old Granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old Granny can sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my Granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it, the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. The end.
Are you ready to read with me? Today we're going to read Gaston. The words are by Kelly DePuccio, and the pictures are by Christian Robinson. Let's get started.
Gaston. Ms. Poodle admired her new puppies. Fifi, Foo-Foo, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Would you like to see them again? Fifi, Foo-Foo, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Perfectly precious, aren't they? Miss Poodle thought so too. The puppies grew as puppies do. 3 were no bigger than teacups. The 4th, however, continued to grow and grow until he was the size of a teapot. Miss Poodle took pride in teaching her puppies how to be proper pooches. They were taught to sip, never slobber. Good. Well done. Very nice. Nice try. They were taught to yip, never yap. Yip, yip, yip. Ruff. And they were taught to walk with grace, never race. Tip-toe, tippy-toe. Whoa! The puppies were also taught how to look pretty in pink, nibble their kibble, and ride in style. Whatever the lesson, Gaston always worked the hardest, practiced the longest, and smiled the biggest. Miss Poodle was very pleased with all her puppies, Fifi, Foo-Foo, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Spring arrived, and the proud mother was eager to show off her darlings. She took them to the park for their very first stroll in public. There was much to see: daffodils, ducklings, dogs. Oh dear, who do we have here? Rocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette. Would you like to see them again? Rocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette. This was more than a little awkward. The mothers sized up the pups. The pups sized up one another. It seems there's been a terrible mistake, Ms. Bulldog said, breaking the silence. Oui, Miss Poodle agreed sadly. Whatever shall we do? Ms. Bulldog could not come up with an answer. I guess we'll let them decide, she replied at last. Gaston and Antoinette were young, but even they could see that there had been a mix-up. The 2 puppies began to circle around and around the group. Gaston walked with grace. Antoinette raced. Gaston yipped. Antoinette yapped. And when they finally came to a stop, the puppies had traded places. There, that looked right. It just didn't feel right. That evening, Antoinette tried to fit in with her new sisters, but she did not like anything proper or precious or pink. Phooey. On the other side of town, Gaston tried to fit in with his new brothers, but he did not like anything brutish or brawny or brown. Ick. Antoinette and Gaston weren't the only ones who were having a hard time adjusting. The next morning, Miss Poodle forgot all about being proper and raced back to the park. Miss Bulldog was already there waiting with her burly brood. "It seems we've made a terrible mistake," she nearly shouted. "Oui, Miss Poodle agreed happily. This time, Gaston and Antoinette wasted no time trading places. There, that looked right, and it felt right too. From that day forward, the familiar families met in the park every afternoon to play. Rocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette taught the poodle puppies a thing or two about being tough. Likewise, Fifi, Fufu, Ooh La La, and Gaston taught the bulldog puppies a thing or two about being tender. And many years later, when Gaston and Antoinette fell in love and had puppies of their own, they taught them to be whatever they wanted to be. The end.
Creative artists can offer you a wide range of video production. Call the experts and discuss your project today, whether it's your special event or your company. Creative Artist, 770-267-7368. Creative Artist produces this program you're watching. Call Creative Artist today, 770-267-7368. Creative Artist, they'll put you in the spotlight.
Hey, I'm Isaac over at Reboot, giving you a tech tip today. Just wanted to talk about computers, laptops, and desktops in general, and kind of what to look for when you're going and buying stuff now. Again, things change all the time, so just kind of wanted to give you a little update. So anytime you're going to buy a computer, there's a couple things. The biggest thing I always tell people is, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about Walmart, but don't go to Walmart. They actually the manufacturers make them cheaper. So those computers, they just won't last as long. They're built to be slower just to make them cheaper, stuff like that. So try and stay away from Walmart. So a couple things to look for. There's a new technology out there called an SSD. The SSD is basically the device that holds all your information. It runs the operating system like Windows or the Mac operating system. So you want to make sure that computer has an SSD, and it'll say in the specs there, SSD. So make sure you have an SSD. Make sure you have at least what's called 6 gigabytes of RAM. RAM is random access memory. It basically helps with the speed. Kind of works like an address book. The first time you go somewhere on the computer, it puts it into that RAM. Takes a little longer, but then the second time it's super quick. So the more RAM you have, basically the faster the computer will go. So at least 6 gigabytes on that. And then the processor, or basically the engine of the computer. Typically we tell people to try and do what's called 2 gigahertz. That's basically the speed. Try and do 2 gigahertz or better. And then also nowadays there's several engines inside that one engine. You want to do a minimum of 2 engines inside that thing, and it'll say it again on the specs if it's like a dual core, so that means 2 engines, or if it's a quad core, that means it has 4 engines. The 4 is obviously better than the 2. If you can do the 4, if you can afford the 4, go ahead and get the 4. And the other thing too, real quick, people buy used computers, they buy new computers. There's some great used ones out there. Business class computers are made for great used computers, if you can find one of those. But I tell people all the time, if you can get you a new one, if you can afford a new one, go ahead and get you a new one. It's just going to last longer, it's going to be faster. Technology changes so much, it'll have the newest technology, all that stuff. So if you can afford a new one, go ahead and get a new one. But anyway, that's it for today. Isaac, we'll reboot.
You're watching Walton Entertainment.
Megan is the marketing manager for this area, so some of you were hoping to get in touch with the marketing girl. Talk to her. Stacy Brown, our founder. The chick herself, yes, she's the one that started it. Tom Carr, our VP of Marketing. Jim is somewhere. He was doing something. There he is. There we go. Jim Thompson in the back. He likes to hide. He's too tall to hide. Steve, Valencia. We've got so much of our team. Tamika, all kinds of great people. Just wanted to just put some faces to names. And then I'm going to pass it over to Scott so he can share a few words about Chicken Salad Chick. Oh, sorry. My bad. Stacy.
Whichever. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. What a wonderful support system Loganville has. Thank you for coming out to show us that support, and what a warm welcome this is. And we're so excited to get started here in Loganville, and what we hope that you come to know. My team is they're so tired of me crying at every one of these things, but it's always overwhelming because we all know what's about to happen in Loganville. And we know how this love and joy spreads. And when you come in here and you get waited on by this wonderful, amazing team, I told Emily, I said, you're officially a talent scout because this team is so amazing and they're going to take such good care of you, and you're going to understand why our purpose is to spread joy, enrich lives, and serve others, because you're going to feel it when you come in here. So, and the great thing is we have great, wonderful chicken salad that I hope causes cravings in the middle of the night, and you wake up wondering why you've got to come back tomorrow. So, but the most important thing is how you'll feel when you're here, and know that that comes from the bottom of all of our hearts. So thank you for your support, and we hope that you feel our support of your community for all the time that we're here. So thank you so much.
I'm excited to be in Loganville.
Yes.
We've been waiting on this now for several months. COVID can't stop us. We're going to be here. So we're excited. As Stacy said, spread joy, enrich lives, serve others. What does that mean? It's hard to tell you on paper, but when you walk in, you feel it. So if you're having the worst day in the world or the best day in the world, come in, celebrate. We want to love on you. We want to hug on you in a COVID world sort of way. But we want you to feel as though you were loved when you walk in the door, and when you leave, you have a smile on your face. And if you don't, Emily, Winston, Jenny, where are you? So make sure y'all know. If you don't leave with a smile on your face, you need to tell them why, because they want to make sure you do. And I promise. I got to spend some time with them last week, and you can't find a group of management team that cares more than the three of you. They're going to take care of it. And as Emily said, she's a cheerleader at heart, so she's going to be cheering a lot, and the team will be cheering with you. So it's really exciting to be here. This is our 159th restaurant, so it's amazing. This probably means 154 for Alan. So it's this may be like your last official opening.
Yes.
Allie's leaving us to go do what you guys do. She's going to be the president and CEO of the Opelika Chamber of Commerce in Alabama. Yeah. So this is her last. There's no one that can orchestrate, coordinate, kick off, start, intro.
Thank you.
This whole day like Allie. So she's going to make it extremely difficult for somebody to come in behind her because she can orchestrate this party more than anybody, and she's about to be on the other side, so it's going to be exciting. So,
Thank you. I'm just very well practiced.
You did an awesome job opening a bunch of restaurants.
you.
So we're going to miss you. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to the chamber or city or whoever. I don't know who's here. Who's here first?
Sure. Okay. Terry Smiley, Walton County Chamber of Commerce. We're so excited to have Chicken Salad Chick in Loganville and in Walton County. My first chicken salad from Chicken Salad Chick was in Statesboro, Georgia, tailgating. It was absolutely yummy, and so we're so glad to have y'all here. We were up here on Friday for your tasting and donations to Shepherd staff, and it was absolutely delicious. Came in with my debit card today so I could purchase. So we're just so glad to have y'all here and welcome. So I know Mayor Ray Martinez is here. I know he wants to say something.
I just want to say something. You brought up when they come to this restaurant, right? It's all about love. Well, before they come to the restaurant, they got to come to the city, right?
Right.
So when you come to Loganville, it's all about love. All right?
Yeah.
And then after that, you come to Chicken Salad Chicken. Congratulations. One more. Get busy. Get busy. Get ready. Because everybody's going to come here. So for the next 2-3 weeks, you're going to have a line. So let's make it happen.
We're ready.
Now, Stacy and Scott both alluded to our purpose. It's to spread joy, enrich lives, and serve others. We have the Chicken Salad Chick Foundation that strives to fight cancer and feed the hungry. And so, as a part of our Friends and Family Days earlier last week, we were raising money for the Chicken Salad Chick Foundation, which is going right back into your community. So I'm going to pass it over to Megan to make that introduction and present the check.
Yes, so like Ali said, we chose someone in the community. Megan, you want to come up here? Someone in our local community with you guys who is feeding the hungry. They're doing much more. So I'm going to let Megan talk a little bit about what they do. I'm sure you already know. And then we'll present the check that we've raised. A lot of you guys, I saw your faces here on Friday and Saturday, so thank you for supporting your Shepherd Staff Ministry. So I'll let you talk and then I'll present the check.
The best name in the whole world.
Yes, Megan and Megan. Yes.
So 3 months ago, Hillary came into Shepherd staff and we had just moved. It was the first week of the shutdown and we had absolutely no idea what we were going to do. And so from there, what has happened in our community with COVID is that we have almost tripled the number of people that we're serving right now. And so this comes at a very poignant time. We don't know what the fall and the winter is going to look like. We're preparing, but we are so blessed and so grateful for your partnership. We are so glad that Chicken Salad Chick is here in this community and we know that we're going to have a long friendship.
Yes, absolutely. Well, without further ado, from the generous people of Loganville, we'd like to present you with a check for $2,810. So we're excited to see all that you do with it, and we'll have an actual check to you. So this will not be brought to the bank, but we will have all of you in contact with you. But yes, we're so excited. So do we want to have everyone go outside?
At this time, we do want to go ahead and head outside. We're going to gather together in front, kind of in front of the parked cars, and we'll get a picture.
Blair, I'm hard trying to make sure I got y'all. Ready? 1, 2.